Let's look at homosexuals and gay behavior. Let's look at another class of sexual problems. What about intersex? How many of you heard of intersex? Not intercourse, but intersex. What about hermaphrodites? That's another name for intersexes, hermaphrodites. They have both the male and female parts. And back before the days of the ultrasound, where they could look, now they can look at a baby at 3-4 months along, they can tell you the gender, or if they're a hermaphrodite. Back in the old days, they had to wait till the baby was born. What is it? Oh my God, it's both. Well, what would they do? Well, first thing they would do is take a blood smear. They'd look for bar bodies. Bar bodies show up. Whoops, that's the Russian version. Bar bodies would show up in the females. Okay, there's these little dots on the inside of the nucleus, particularly white blood cells. These little spots there, you can see the arrow pointing to them. They're called bar bodies. They don't exist in the male, XYs, but they exist in females, XX, because they represent one of the two X chromosomes. And so when they would, the baby's still being wiped off in the delivery room, they take the blood smear, they run in, look under the microscope, they say, okay, there's bar bodies there. Genetically, this baby's a female, which is true. So they cut the penis off, cut the testicles off, and they do a little plastic surgery to make them totally a female. Uh-oh, baby's 10 years old. Up here, the baby's a boy. Because there's two things going on when it comes to sex. One is the DNA, what you are, and then there's the preoptic hypothalamus, which covers eating drives, depression, sexual drives, and all that kind of stuff. And when you have a child that's born from a congenital event, let's call it a congenital event, if they're a homosexual or a gay male or a lesbian woman, they have about 30% of the cells that a heterosexual has in that preoptic hypothalamus. You can actually count the cells. You don't even need to know anything else. You just count the cells, and if they're below a certain level, they're going to be lesbian or gay. Because mama was missing something in the first 3 weeks of pregnancy when that part of the brain was being formed. OB/GYN didn't warn her. She's out there having a great time. 1 out of 700 babies is born with sexual problems. It happened in the first 3 weeks of pregnancy. It's not a choice. It is not a choice. They're driven to be homosexual, gay, or lesbian from the time they're 3 weeks old and in pregnancy. You can't pray them well because it was determined at 3 weeks as an embryo. You understand what I'm telling you? This is based on 600 autopsies of gay and lesbian people. So, I love stuff like this. This is a brilliant move. I don't agree with most of President Obama's stuff, his policies, but this was beautiful. The Russians have a big thing against gay people. So who does he send over there for the Olympics to represent us? A gay athlete. I love it. I mean, that was a brilliant move. So these people are wonderful people, right? There's 10 times more heterosexual, what am I talking about? Heterosexuals who are pedophiles. There's 10 times more heterosexuals who are pedophiles than there are gay people. Okay? So you can't say, well, they're pedophiles. You can't do that because it's not true. Okay? So I thought this was a brilliant move. And I was up in Canada. This is a wonderful tear-jerking story. Here's two guys. They're married for 65 years. One died at 94. The other one died at 96. Two old uncles. They just harmless and, just were great members of the community and church members and did all kinds of things for the Rotary Club and the Lions Club and all that kind of stuff. And how can you say anything wrong with them? They're just wonderful human beings. Their mama just screwed up. Why? Because the OB/GYN screwed up. Now, for those of you who don't know a lot of neuroanatomy, this is kind of a rendition of a human brain. So I can clarify this for you here. This one here, the hypothalamus, that arrow is pointing right to the preoptic hypothalamus, the part of the brain that's underdeveloped called hypoplasia, which means underdeveloped. And when it's underdeveloped, they're going to be a homosexual male or a gay male or a lesbian female. It's predictable as gravity. You can count the cells and you know. Okay. Okay, this will be the last one because you'll get the drift. This fellow here, an eye doctor, very successful eye doctor, very, he's an elder in the church and all this kind of stuff, and filled in for the pastor, good Christian man, had family. He volunteered his time for the Lions Club and raised money for eyeglasses and eye surgeries and all this kind of stuff, and did the Rotary Club and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When his youngest child, I reached 18 years of age, he went to Denver and had plastic surgery and became a she. Up here, he was a she, a preoptic hypothalamus. He knew that when he was 6 years old. But down here, he was a male. He was genetically a male, but because Mama was missing something, up here, he was a female. So went and had the surgery and became a female. Had to go to federal court to be able to play tennis in a world league as a female because he had the DNA of a male. But he won in court. Kind of interesting stuff. Kind of wild stuff. Makes you think, doesn't it?
That was Renee Richard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know the guy who paid for him, gave him a grant to go to school to become an eye doctor. He's one of my patients. He's a billionaire. He's one of my patients.